This program is being recorded with only 4 days remaining of the regular session, which comes to a close on April 23rd. However, the legislature is not completely finished with its business, and it appears a special session is imminent. Can you explain why?
Well, at the end of the day, it comes down to whether or not we think the taxpayer should be taxed another $8 billion or not. That's essentially what this is all coming down to. You've got the House Democrats have decided that they believe that our budget just doesn't have enough money. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Our budget is just under $40 billion right now. We have $3 billion new dollars coming in without doing anything. Far more than enough necessary to solve the McCleary issue and all the other things that we need to do related to mental illness, taking care of those who can't take care of themselves. All those things we want government to do, we got plenty of money to deal with that. It comes down to priorities. And so what the Democrats are proposing right now is that we increase spending by $8 billion, which means raise taxes by $8 billion, even on some things that the voters have voted against in recent years. So at the end of the day, that's what this is all about.
What's the alternative for a 2-year operating budget plan?
Well, first of all, within existing resources, we have plenty of money to pay for all the McCleary decision issues, and the Senate has actually put out a budget which does that. There are some adjustments that we do have to make to our local school levies, which has been a problem, frankly, since the 1970s, and even our state Supreme Court, dating all the way back to the 1970s, has made several comments about the fact that we are not fairly taxing our local citizens with respect to how we fund education. The Senate budget deals with all of that. It makes sure that we're living within our means, and at the same time, it's not increasing taxes in a general sense to all the citizens of the state of Washington, much different than what the Democrat plan is.
What's the status of bringing these two plans together into a compromise budget agreement?
Status is the key word there. You know, you've got a couple of different folks out there, and I'm talking about specific caucuses, being the majority in the Senate and the majority in the House, that just are not seeing eye to eye. They're kind of dug their heels in the ground right now. Both of them believe their way of getting things done is the strongest way or the best way of getting it done. And I guess from my perspective, I have to ask this question. When you have 39 counties and only 2 of the 39 counties that we have are operating at less than the national unemployment rate, 2 out of 39, 37 counties are operating at higher levels of unemployment than the national average. Some double and even nearly triple what the national average is now the time to be raising taxes on the citizens of the state by $8 billion? I think not. And so for myself, I'm going to be working, as I have over the last several years, to negotiate between the two sides. But in our district, the 39th district, we are still as a district, even though we're predominantly located in Snohomish and Skagit County, my district is operating at way above the national unemployment average. My folks can't take more tax increases. And so I'll be down here protecting them while at the same time making sure that we're meeting the constitutional requirements of the McCleary decision and, getting all the rest of our budget taken care of.
Besides the operating budget, is there any other unfinished business that needs to happen?
Well, we've got transportation budget will be finalized here, hopefully by Sunday, I guess, is Sunday day. That will be the 105th day. We've got capital budget. Whether or not that gets finalized or not, I'm not quite sure yet, but water is a huge issue. The Hearst decision is something that essentially says this, that if you own property today, and you even have a well on your property today, you're not going to be allowed to build anything on your property today. That's a problem. And we've got thousands of people across the state of Washington that own property with wells that are not going to be allowed to get a building permit to build anything on their property. That's a private property right. There are some issues with water in very small sections of the state of Washington. This is a far overreaching decision that we've got to fix. We believe we have a fix that can work down here, and right now we're working on final negotiations to get that done before we finish with regular business.
What are your plans during interim?
Well, I thought I was going to have an interim to spend with my family. That's not going to be the case. We're going to be going into special session of this, I'm positive, at this stage of the game. And so I will be down here in Olympia having the 5 corners meetings between the leaders in the Senate, the Speaker of the House, and the Governor's office. I'll be working with the Education Task Force on the education funding issues that we still have to finalize. And so I'll be back and forth and or living down here in Olympia quite a bit over the course of the next, hopefully, just a few weeks. We'll see how it goes.
You work for people throughout the year, not just when the legislature's in session. So what do you tell folks through the rest of the year?
Obviously, I need to hear what's going on back home. I need to understand what the challenges are back home. Are you having a challenge with a state agency? Is there something going on in local government or transportation? Maybe it's related to your schools. I need to know that so I can represent you well down here. And so all my contact information is on the screen. Email me, call me, whatever works best. I even get a lot of snail mail still, which is great. But for me to serve you best as citizens of my district, I need to know what's going on back home. So please don't hesitate to give me a call.